Invasion of boredom. Immediately. This is one of those times, one of those missions. Hey, we came in on a predator ship. Don't show that. Um, this is a new day, and I have learned a couple of things that the viewers can use as evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt. I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. I've learned how infrared imaging systems work, and I don't remember all the specific details off the top of my head, but what I do know is that it doesn't have to do with light. What it has to do with is it's essentially visualizing a type of radiation that interacts with, or that emanates from warm-blooded animals and sources of heat. That's what a thermal imaging system looks at and visualizes. It has nothing to do with light whatsoever. But I also learned, or in addition, I also learned cold-blooded animals like lizards and snakes do not, in fact, show up on a infrared imaging system. So they're okay. I guess we're supposed to assume that the xenomorphs are cold-blooded, even though if they're exposed to. Although, hey, actually, that explains a lot. That actually explains their aversion to fire and cold. Huh. Well. Huh. Well. I'm completely dumbfounded by that. That explains so much. I don't think anyone in the movies ever thought of that. And I don't think the game designers thought of that. But, that makes a lot of things make way more sense. Anywho, they do not in fact show up, or they don't glow. You can still see them. They are, from what I understood, reading through the explanation of imaging systems, they show up as what's known as a black object. So, more classical, older infrared imaging systems look like the way they do in this game and in the original Predator movie. Everything's rainbow colored, and obviously the environments are. By the way, I need to stop myself. If you want to know what the objective of this level is, I spent in a different recording. I spent an inexorbitant amount of time going through the level because the doors are locked and some of the lifts aren't working. The objective is just to kill these Marines. And I don't even know why the heck I saved there. But the objective is just to kill these Marines. You don't have to flip any of the, or spin any of the valves in the level, which is why I re-recorded it. Because I wasted a lot of time doing that, thinking, oh, well, it's invasion. You gotta spin the valves. No, you don't. You just have to kill those Marines, and then you're done. Amazing. Back to what I was saying. Essentially, newer infrared systems, they basically, everything's purple instead of everything being blue. And now differences in temperature or emitted radiation show up as ever-brightening shades of orange. I think some of the newer movies, Predator movies, make use of that kind of infrared rather than the classical rainbow one. But in those imaging systems, cold-blooded animals show up as black. They don't blend in with the environment. They still, you can tell there's something there because it completely stands out. But that's one of the cool things I learned about those systems. So in reality, again, you would still be able to see xenomorphs in thermal vision even if they were cold-blooded. But they wanted, and this is why I say the game designers didn't actually think about that. The comic book people also probably didn't think about that either. They just wanted to have an excuse to, well, you know, thermals are for seeing human enemies, and we need another vision mode dedicated to xenomorphs. We want to give the Ya-oot-ja some kind of weakness. Oh, and you can see right here, I left 2 civilians alive, or rather Big Bo, the Ya-oot-ja, left 2 civilians alive because they were unarmed. There's no sport in it. However, I immediately thought about the objective for the mission, and it says kill all prey. Which is kind of disappointing and not a lot of fun. And I wanted to roleplay as Big Bo. Big Bo doesn't want to kill humans. That's easy. Big Bo just wants to hunt xenomorphs. Oh, speaking of Ya-oot-ja, I have also learned the proper pronunciation of Ya-oot-ja, as indicated by the AVP Galaxy Wikia website. It is YA as in Ya, Oot as in OOT, Oot-ja, Ya-oot-ja. I will continue to say Ya-oot-ja because it's far easier. However, for those of you who would like to know the proper way to say it, now you know. So what about what do I think of these as far as, are the bonus missions of the what-if scenarios? I don't know how to interpret these. I guess they could be what-ifs, in that, what if a predator showed up in these missions? Similar to, like, the Marine, you start in a location where there is a human. In the normal level. However, here, in this level, for example, Escape, there are no predators. So the only interpretation I can offer is, like I said, what if a predator showed up? And it was the player character predator, whom I have dubbed Big Bo, who has no dreadlocks. They've all been singed off by acid blood. Because he insists, or she, I don't know, you don't know. We still haven't seen what a female predator is supposed to look like. I've seen what some people have interpreted female predators to look like, but not canon. Anyway, he or she, Big Bo, insists on killing xenomorphs with the wrist blade. And bathing in acid blood. Why did I stand there? No, sorry, wait. Why did Big Bo stand there? Oh, I know why. Because it makes the skin tougher. Could we even call it skin? I think the Ya-oot-ja are supposed to be more reptile-like, but then they have that weird mouth, and they don't make any sense. It's just a cool design. Sort of like the xenomorph. Do you have any idea how... Who was it? I distinctly remember there was a... was it a zoologist or a biologist? No, I'm not a biologist as in study of life, but a medical biologist, essentially. Broke down that basically the head... I'll just come out and say, the penis head of the xenomorph puts an undue amount of stress on the vertebra. And essentially, the xenomorph just would not be able to move very well. It would have a hard time running it would have a hard time living with that head. Unless most of it were completely hollow, and then you would have problems. It's just a complete mess. Here's the moment. Here's the moment. Here's your Xenoborg, the most frightening entity in the game. They really are. They have that laser gun is has probably the fastest time to kill of any of the enemies you will encounter in the game. If you get hit by it, you will die to it. However, you can easily overcome that by just standing behind it. At this point, obviously, I could just pull out the spear gun at any time, and in fact I do, to finally finish it off. But this was me just thinking to myself, can you even kill it? I said, no, I'm going to kill it with the wrist blade, because I want to know, how long will this take? To the point where, I had actually, if you didn't notice it, I actually managed to cut off one of its arms. And that's where the acid blood damage was coming in. You could also cut off its tail. By the way, all these sparks shooting out of it, it is still not dead. And so I finally just say, oh, screw it. It's gonna take forever. And even after the spear gun, it's still not dead. So it's time to throw the death disc at it. The smart man. I prefer the death disc. Because I'm an edgelord, that's why. Death disc. Sounds like the name of a heavy metal band. We are Death Disc. And this is this would normally be the moment that the player xenomorph arrives from. And there you go. That, if we're to assume that specific xenomorph is the original player character, that's where you can do the whole what if thing. What if the Predator existed in this level and intercepted the xenomorph from the Alien campaign? And then decided, hey, I'm gonna go down and deal with that hive. Because Big Bo loves a challenge, if nothing else. Bo's got some vendetta against xenomorphs. And here's the frustrating part about dealing with... The thing... I'm finally going to attempt it. I've wanted to have a diatribe about what makes certain xenomorphs difficult. There's a particular facet of their moveset that can make them extremely frustrating. Because obviously the wrist blade just makes them explode when you hit them. However, in addition to that, you would be forgiven for just looking at and here we are in Temple, but now we're starting in the Hive, just like the Marine. Right. If you've been watching their moveset, there's a perfect example of it right there. They just kind of stand upright and they just walk at you. And when they do, they're really easy to deal with. However, and this is more noteworthy with the Praetorian than it is with the regular ones, if they're on all fours, they can do this pounce attack, which is more of an AVP 2 thing. It's sort of in the first game, but it doesn't have the same functionality as it does in AVP 2. But if they do that pounce attack repeatedly, that is their most devastating attack. Because it depletes a large amount of health for what the Predator can normally absorb. And here's a moment where my praise for the grappling hook goes right down the drain, and how clunky it is to move up completely vertical spaces. If that it's an example of where the jetpack is far, far better. When you're just moving directly upward. Let's see, do I destroy this? I guess. I don't know. If you don't know what to do in an old first-person shooter, just break stuff. Or at least in this game. Don't know what to do? Break stuff! Eventually you'll figure out how to end the level. But that pounce attack... Frickin' Molotovs! Oh, looking back at them, just... those are... Oh, they're not fun. You can... I know I'm on another tangent, but you can... Something else I found out. I kind of already knew this, and if you want to call me a fraud, fine. But I did find out going through the cheat options, and I've unlocked a lot of those in my spare time, and I'll probably do the last episode will be me going through the ones that I've unlocked that are actually fun, because there's a bunch that are just completely pointless. But you can get the people who have Molotov cocktails to throw them at you, and that's a way for you to get rid of them. But it kind of takes a while to get them to do it. So to expedite the level, you just kill them and see if you can dodge it. Bye. Where was I talking about? I was on a tangent. The pounce. The Praetorians can do it over and over again, and that will probably be the thing that kills most players more often than any other attack in the game. And the other thing that will kill players most of the time will be Marines with miniguns, acid blood. That's about it. And the plasma caster. Because the NPC Ya-oot-jas, now they have a fully charged plasma caster shot, even just firing it normally, but the player character has to spend at least 3 seconds charging theirs up. Go figure. That grappling hook. The bungee hook. What possessed them to just give the... I guess they wanted something in keeping with the Predator style of technology, is that it's kind of a mixing of primitive and advanced technology. Because obviously, I mean, they have laser cannons, yet they choose to use, melee armaments, just regular blades and whatnot. And the entire reason behind that, like I said, is back to the hunter motif. Hunters have knives so that they can skin animals. And why do they skin animals? Well, you're out to get the hide and the fur for leather and, the fur. But the thing is... This is another Predator-related subject. Why did they skin things? Because the reason you do that, outside of the actual skin that you get, is you're trying to basically dry the meat, or you're just going to leave it there. But the thing is, when you hang it up like that, this is where I'm coming from. When you hang up a skinned animal like that, it's because you're trying to drain it, essentially, of its bodily fluids, and you're trying to just leave it out of, not get it dirty. But, sorry, do predators eat people? Because it doesn't in the movie, or it doesn't seem to, because it left those skinned guys up there for, I guess, forever. It never bothered to go back. I have no idea. Like I said, they didn't think about that. They just thought, you know, what do hunters do? Well, they skin animals and then they hang them up like that. And that's it. Because that's it. It's just a scary image. Which goes back to what I was talking about with the whole, the aspects of lore from the comic books that was made up. There's a Pred alien. Which, I mean, the player character was not a Pred alien. It was just a regular alien. But, give him final boss. Get in there! Get in there, Big Bo! That's it. That's it. What did the Ya-oot-ja do in there? I don't know. Beats me. On to Earthbound! You get the grappling hook in this level too? I think you do. You have to, because there's more vertical shafts you have to climb up. But there's the big diatribe on the Predator, the Ya-oot-ja, and their stupid honor system that doesn't make any sense. They won't kill unarmed people, except when they do in Predator 2, and they won't kill pregnant women or sick people because there's no sport in it? But they're perfectly willing to... like I said, it's contradictory. It's not supposed to make any sense, because nobody thought of it like that. Until, like I said, the comic books came around. And, alright, we've got to, you know, extend this thing and write a bunch of comic books, so... They've got this culture. Let's come up with this culture that they follow. And that's the way it works. I wonder if the spear gun is from the comic books, because the... Let's see. No, Predator 2 is the thing that... Because that's the Death Disc. That's where the Death Disc comes from. But they didn't give him the spear in AVP 1. Huh. I wonder why they didn't do some things. I'm kind of, if you can't tell, coming up to the conclusion and kind of winding down. A, I've just run out of things to talk about, period. But B, it's just... I kind of like to actually think of a conclusion. What was the point? The point was, people kept telling me to do these. Hey, you should do LPs. You got a cool voice. Do it anyway. Alright, but I got nothing to really add to an oversaturated market. Do it anyway. The theme was player direction. And then I came back around on that, and I said, you know, sometimes not having a direction is a good thing. I mean, hell, I like Dark Souls. And that game gives you the bare minimum of direction. So ultimately, the entire theme is kind of a moot point. I will say, it is just kind of fun that you're never entirely sure about what to do in this, and that there are equal parts joy and frustration upon discovering what to do, as well as an equal amount of humor in finding out what you don't have to do. The quintessential example being that Marine mission, Orbital, the fourth one, in which you can get through it without killing anything. To unlock one of the cheat options, you actually have to do that. You have to get through the level without, only firing 20 shots. And it's incredibly easy to do that because you just blitz through it and ignore all of the enemies. So that's what I found humorous. If I had to revise the theme would be not ignorance as a concept, but rather what can you ignore. A revised theme would be thinking about it really hard. What makes this a good AVP game that sticks in people's heads? And if I had to suggest it, it would simply be that it is a competent shooter. It doesn't do anything flagrantly wrong. That sticks to the source material closely enough. And that's all it really had to be. Is this the final mission? Terrargo, it would be fitting. And once again, I don't even remember off the top of my head what the objective is. You just kind of, much like Invasion, just go through the motions. And hey, this is a switch the Marine had to flip, so flip it as the Predator. Ya-oot-ja. I think this is another kill all of the... No, this is another kill all of the corporate officers mission. Which makes more sense for the Ya-oot-ja to do than it does for the alien to do. Because the Ya-oot-ja can actually distinguish between entities of rank. Although, there are cases of animals being able to differentiate between objects of importance. Dogs, for example, can assign names to things. If you're wondering what all of those plasma shots were, it was trying to get rid of these things, but they're still there, so screw it, just tank it. Have I ever bothered to talk about the trophy system that the Predator can do? You can take the skulls of xenomorphs and humans, but it doesn't... Again, outside of unlocking a cheat option, which I guess I've never bothered to establish what the heck that's about. I'll do that whenever I'll do the video all about that, and I'll explain it then. It's not a... You can cheat in this game. You can open up the console commands and mess around with it. You can do stuff like no clip and give yourself all weapons and stuff like that, God mode. But there's also a menu option called cheat options, which is essentially just a mutator. And oh god, I need to... how to explain it? It's basically just like a custom game mode. Where, okay, like for example, the Predator gets a spear gun that fires like a shotgun and has infinite ammo. That's a cheat option. And you can play a level like that. That's what they are. And I'll show off all the ones that I've unlocked that I find to be the most interesting in the next episode. Final episode. As for the trophy system, it's only relevant for unlocking one of those cheat options. And that's it. It doesn't... Hey, Big Bo, you may want to rethink your strategy of just running in with wrist blades. That's okay. That's what we have the Metacomp for. Which is not how it was represented in Predator 1. So who cares? Anyway, the trophy system is just kind of irrelevant. I think that's the end. If the level doesn't suddenly stop, it's not the end.
Warning. Biohazard Base Alpha.
Oh, no. So this is one of those examples where that xenomorph still gets stuck right there. Maybe it has something to do with the AI. It doesn't handle it. Well, I mean, in general, it doesn't handle cramped quarters very well. It's more noticeable on the skirmish levels. I'm still waffling on whether or not I'm gonna bother with those. They're nothing. They're just survival horde mode kind of thing. See how long you can last. Um, but you'll notice that they handle open environments way, way better than enclosed spaces. There's two Xenoborgs once again. How do we challenge the player? Throw those at them. Even though they're... If you know that they're coming, they're not a challenge at all. But therein lies, I guess, the point. You need to be pretty cognizant. Come to think of it, a lot of older shooters are like that. If you haven't gone through the level multiple times and you just know what's coming, they are not as smooth as an experience as people who love these kinds of games like to say they are. Heck, I don't even know if that Marine was there at the beginning or not, and I just missed him. Sorry, Big Bo missed him. I didn't miss him. I am merely a passive observer. Heck, at this point, I don't even... Again, I don't remember what the hell the objective was. Maybe it's just, hey, now there are xenomorphs, have fun! For the honor of your tribe, defeat them all! I do not think it became relevant in the Marine campaign, but as you can see there, you can actually blow up those missiles, and they will actually kill enemies nearby them. If I had to guess, I'm assuming the idea was you would do that to defeat the Predator during the Marine campaign, or you could just turn on 2 sentry guns and have them kill the Predator. And the Pred Alien, come to think of it. Sentry guns are really good at that. Which returns us again to that conclusion theme thing that I was talking about, where... Is it truly a classic that just defies all other shooters or transcends? No. It's a good shooter that just does it well enough. And that's all I'll have to say. Good game. Highly recommend it. And that's the end. And with that, friends, that'll be the credits. Okay, is credit where credit is due? Credit what credit is due? Wow. That weathly wibbly boo.